Hey guys, it's Pastor Brian, and I want to welcome you to the Grid series. Now, in this sermon link series from PursueGOD.org, we're going to be talking all about worldviews. In fact, in this first lesson, we're going to talk about some dangerous ideas you can get from a secular worldview, and then we're going to compare it to a biblical worldview because we want to help you to learn how to see the world like Jesus did. But let me just, first of all, before I even get to this lesson, let me just talk about this grid challenge for a second. We want to encourage everyone to take this 28-day challenge where every week you go through a discussion video with your small group or with your family or with a mentor, and then every day you do a daily Bible reading with a short video that will help you to understand what you're about to read. Now, the point is, at the end of these 28 days, you will have an opportunity, whether you're a Christian already or whether you're just starting to investigate the Bible and Christianity, you'll have an opportunity to really wrap your mind around what it means to be a Christian and to live in the world and to see the world like Jesus saw the world. So that's what the grid is all about. And in this first lesson, we're going to just sort of get warmed up by talking about 3 dangerous ideas that you might even buy into just a little bit. Now, the first dangerous idea is do what makes you happy. This idea is everywhere. It's in music, it's in movies, it's probably in the advice you've recently gotten from a friend, right? Haven't you even probably told somebody, just do what makes you happy, follow your heart. But don't you agree that this little principle can go a little bit too far? And if you take it too far, then it can be dangerous. I mean, I know a guy who literally cheated on his wife, and his justification for it was, don't I deserve to be happy? Now, certainly we would know that there are some boundaries we need to draw. Maybe you've got some of your own stories and examples. Use the questions below to talk about that. But the point is, you can't just do what makes you happy. Jesus talked about this guy in a parable who had this kind of a mindset. He said, eat, drink, and be merry. That's what the guy in the parable said. And God said this about that guy, you fool, you will die this very night, and then who will get everything that you worked for? Jesus was saying this, do what makes you happy is a principle that is not worth living by. It's not that God doesn't want you to be happy. He does. We'll talk about that throughout this whole series. You'll have true satisfaction and joy, but not if that's what you're seeking more than anything. If you're seeking your happiness above everything else, you'll end up not being happy, and neither will the people around you. Here's the second dangerous idea. You decide what's right. Now, this idea is sort of a corollary of the first idea. Here's how that works. If you're all about your happiness, then pretty soon you're going to say what is right and wrong is just whatever is good for me, and so I get to decide what's right. There's no ultimate truth. Everyone just does whatever they want. You know that this isn't a new thing for Americans today. This was way back in the Old Testament in the Judges period. The Bible says in those days, Israel had no king, and all the people did whatever seemed right in their own eyes. Doesn't that sound familiar? That's exactly how most people live today. You decide what's right. Do what you want. And you see what's happening in our culture as a result of it? I remember growing up back in the day, it was really hard to find pornography. I mean, you had to go looking for it. Today, it's all over the place. People have it in their phones, and what's their justification? It doesn't matter. It's no big deal. Porn is no big deal. But you've probably heard that porn destroys marriages. Porn destroys relationships. See, the truth is porn is wrong, and porn is destructive. And the people that say, oh, it's right for me, it can be wrong for you, it doesn't matter, well, it's destroying not just them and their marriage, but eventually it's eating at all of society. That's just one example of the bad effects of having this do whatever you want mentality. Jesus, on the other hand, said this to the people who believed in him, you are truly my disciples if you remain faithful to my teachings, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. See, according to a biblical worldview, there is such a thing as truth, and we find it right there in the Bible. And because there is such a thing as truth, we should be willing to submit to the way God sees it. And when we do, guess what happens? Jesus said it. You'll be free. You'll be happy when you recognize that there is right and wrong, and when you begin to live your life according to it. That's a biblical grid. Now, there's one more dangerous idea, and it's that this is all there is. See, a self-centered, self-determined existence inevitably leads to a lack of purpose and freedom and joy in your life. That's why it's so important that you understand how Jesus saw the world, because when you see it that way, it really will lead to so much more satisfaction in your life. In fact, Joshua, this great leader of Israel back in the Old Testament, he challenged his people at the end of his life. He said, choose this day who you're going to serve. But then he said this, but as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. I hope at the end of this 28-day grid challenge, I hope you say the same thing that Joshua did. And I believe that if you do, it will lead to a life of purpose and freedom and joy and ultimate satisfaction. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video, and don't forget to use the questions below to talk about this with your family or your small group or your mentor. And also remember, it's a sermon link lesson, which means there's a full sermon below on this topic, along with a youth version and a kids version. Now, if you want to take the full 28-day challenge, just check that out at PursueGOD.org/grid, and we'll see you tomorrow for the first Bible reading.